welcome guys. Welcome to the live. Give me a second. I'm just gonna set things up for the other platforms because Abisha's gonna stream on multiple. But yeah, anyways, don't mind me and my random spasms that I occasionally do. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We're doing the do, okay? You don't need to worry. I'm just doing me and you should do you. And at the end of the day, if you got an issue, then maybe put yourself in someone else's shoe. Okay, I don't know why that came out, but it just felt right, just felt tight. And you know, sometimes maybe people might see some kind of light, some kind of thing at the end of the tunnel, okay? You know, so today's topic of the video, as you can tell by the title, connecting with roots. And fitting, because I actually have some like branches right here. So, you know, totally planned, completely 100% planned. So today I wanted to do something, well, I don't know, it's different, but something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do a little bit of weaving and also talk about what I've learned. So stay tuned, see what I've learned, see what I've gained from my travels, okay? Definitely can guarantee that you probably haven't learned something like this. My insights are quite unique, but you know, time will tell, and you can watch this video to see that proof. But that's just me being me, and I want to give that little bit of insight because I know some people might look at this. Personally, me, you know, I might look at a lot of videos because especially like nowadays, a lot of videos online, they be washed out, they be full of shit, you know, so I know how it is when you look at certain videos and you're like, this person's about to ramble on about bullshit. No, baby, I don't ramble. I don't talk about bullshit. It may sound like I'm rambling, but my rambles actually have very deep spiritual gems in them. So, but you know, like you can sit and watch or you can leave at the end of the day. I feel like that was low key a little bit of me, like trying to prove myself. So I guess that's where I need to check my ego a little bit. And that's something I learned, you know, something I learned. Maybe I don't need to say stuff like that because at the end of the day, your actions speak louder than words. So, you know, but there's a part of me that must feel like I need to say something in order to project or prove myself. So that's some little shadow work that I must need to do for me to get out of my bullshit and to realize that I'm actually a lot more powerful than I think, you know, because at the end of the day, what you think and what you feel is how you're going to project yourself out into reality, you know. And a lot of people may think, oh, that somehow they're getting one by, or they're like doing something that other people haven't seen before. Maybe you've done it in a way that other people might not have seen, but the thing you're doing, other people have seen that. So it's only a matter of time before people catch up, you know. But you can already tell from my actions, just 5 minutes into the video. How long are we in? 3 minutes into the video. You can already tell from my actions, I'm accountable. I'm accountable as fuck. So I take myself accountable, I hold myself accountable, and I hold others accountable in my life. Whether you know it or not. I know. I be knowing. Just give me a second, I need some water. Goodness gracious. So, I want to get my microphone set up like nicely, but the thing is, my microphone is bulky for my setup right now, but that's all right. I'll figure something out. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'll try to project my voice as much as I can so that you guys can hear me a bit better. Because my mic is a little bit far away. And actually, I can just turn up the volume here. So let me just do that quickly before we get into the video, because I want to get my shiz in there. Oh, actually, my mic's all good. My mic is all good. So yeah, what I've learned. Oh, what haven't I learned, bro? I wanted to do this because I feel like this is the natural tone of my videos in general. I naturally just talk about what have I learned and what have I done naturally in my videos. So right now, it's just going to get deeper into that, what I already naturally talk about, starting with weaving. One thing that I've learned about weaving, okay, so I'm learning this new Aboriginal. Oh, I don't like the word Aboriginal. Just because of the meaning. Ab, ab, that's a prefix or whatever the word you want to call it for something that is not, because you say abnormal when something's not normal. So when you're saying aboriginal, that's actually saying not original. So I don't necessarily like that word, but we'll just go with the First Nations people of Australia. So, because I live in Australia, Melbourne, and I'm also from New Zealand. In New Zealand, we're all about connecting with the land. We're all about connecting to roots, as you can see from the title. So, this is a natural spiritual practice that the Maori people practice for years and years and years. Thousands, the white man may argue that Maori haven't been in New Zealand for thousands or maybe more. I argue that they have been. The white man doesn't know at the end of the day. And the white man is not about race. The white man is about the colonizers, the people who put the system in place and perpetuate racism and colonization. Which, if you are just like me, and you have to get up every day, go to work, have a job, and regardless of whether you're white or not, I don't consider you as the white man when I'm talking in this context of the video of saying the white man. So, don't get your knickers in a twist and think that talking about you when I say the white man. But yeah, when we're talking about these practices, the First Nations people of many countries have constantly practiced connecting with the earth. And this is due to the fact that you are one and the same with the earth. Scientists even know this, but scientists will explain it in a lot more of a lost kind of aspect where they will say that, oh, these are a bit shorter than I had intended, but that's alright. We'll make do with what we have, guys. That's the way. So, scientists will show that we are made of stardust and blah, 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 all of these kind of things. But in actuality, that's just a roundabout way of them trying to explain that we're made up of the environment around us. We're made up of the earth and the space that we're in. And most people don't realize how deep this actually goes. When it talks about First Nations people, aka the indigenous people of whatever country you're from, we already know this because we're already in tune and attuned to nature. This is why we have things like kaitiaki, which is a guardian of nature or somebody who has authority over guardianship of a certain location or space, right? Because there's atmospheres that we all emit and emanate from. This is why we don't actually all originate from Africa. Because how can you be a makeup of the environment and the space around you, made up of all the different minerals and nutrients and vitamins from around you, but then to say that those nutrients and vitamins only can originate and create a human vessel from another geographical location? No, every geographical location can emanate and create things. This is why you have trees in every single part of the world, but yet not every single landmass is connected. And the white man will try to trick you and say, oh, in actuality, they were all at once connected. But to me, that just sounds like a whole bunch of one world order bullshit. Because at the end of the day, the you know who, I don't even care to say the name because who cares? You already know who I'm talking about. They try to perpetuate this whole one world order type thing. So for me, I don't come from Africa. I don't originate, and my ancestors are not from Africa. And I'll say that with pride. Because at the end of the day, how can I be birthed from Africa if the atmosphere and the sun creates things to be different? Like, let's say they say that the sun and the air and the atmosphere creates different ethnicities in different locations, but yet somehow it can't create a whole different being or a whole different vessel. Somehow only Africa can create those. Only African continent can create a vessel that is capable of being physical. And then every other country, they just modify it. No, no, no. That's backwards, because we need to look at things from each level. If we're able to be modified by the atmosphere around us, then that's a form of what I'm talking about when we're one and the same with the atmosphere that we're in. So that's a little bit of an introduction to what I've been learning, because I want to reconnect to my own roots, not being connected to my roots. I'm actually separate from my own atmosphere right now. And if you are separate from your original atmosphere, aka you're an immigrant or a migrant from a different country, you'll feel this. This is why you even miss your landmass. You miss your home because you miss the atmosphere and the vibe, the makeup, the the air, the water, the fire, the earth, all of those things that made up that atmosphere for you to live there and for you to be a being that came out of those waters. So when it comes to you being separate from your atmosphere, you need to understand that you're separating yourself from yourself in a way. And so it's equally as important for you to either attune to the atmosphere that you're in or reconnect to the atmosphere that you're from, or do a combination of both. Because in doing so, what you're doing is you're creating something new, and then you're not negating the atmosphere that you're already in. Because when you do that, this is when you start to experience a whole bunch of bullshit. This is when you start to experience the atmosphere around you not to be so nice, not to be so pleasing to you, right? So all of these things are due to you originally separating yourself from said atmosphere, right? So let's say as an example, because I want to bring it down to something easy for people to understand. So when it comes to that, looks leathery, they say to get the leathery parts out of the middle. This is an Australian, I think this is an Australian species of flax that I'm weaving with right now. So they say to get the leathery parts out of the middle. So I'm trying to find that this part is leathery. It seems to be leathery. Yeah. And what's it called? Let's say as an example, if you're from Australia, right? Let's say you didn't grow up in Australia, but you're born in another geographical location. And now you lived your whole life in Australia. But yet you don't care for the indigenous people, you don't even care for the plants or the trees around you. You don't even care to get to know the atmosphere and the space that you're in. You know, how are you going to expect to have a positive experience when you're interacting with the environment henceforth? You know, you have to understand you haven't given the environment a positive experience to interact with through your actions and your thoughts and your feelings. So you're going to experience things such as wrong place, wrong time type energies, or negative perspectives about the atmosphere that you're sharing with everyone else, which is why some people can have a completely different experience to said atmosphere. This one's not breaking properly, and others will have another experience, and they're in the same exact space, same exact location, and many factors can attest to this. You know, it's not just about you being separate from the atmosphere, but it does play a big part, you know. So when you separate yourself from the environment around you, not being connected to the space, the landmass, the trees, the plants, all of these things build up to manifest, to maintain whatever experience you're going through. You know, so if you're having a negative experience and you're constantly separating yourself from the atmosphere as above, so below, aka you're not learning about the indigenous people, you're not learning about why the atmosphere and the land mass actually grows that way. Why does the different species on that landmass grow and look that way? All of these things point to the energy of the space that you're in. And so if you're not able to even pay attention to these things, then you're not connecting to it in some way, shape, or form. So for me, my journey being in Australia and Melbourne is connecting to the atmosphere, connecting to the environment around me, learning about the indigenous people who walked here for thousands and thousands of years before me, because they are the spirits that make up that atmosphere. They are inherited through everyone who exists here. If you are breathing in the air in Australia and Melbourne, you are actually breathing in the spirits. It's like that freaking thing that they say in Pocahontas. Every rock, every tree, every leaf or whatever the words are has a name. This is what they're talking about when they're talking about these topics. So when you're understanding this and you're getting into a deeper understanding of it, you start to know that by disrespecting the indigenous people of the land, which is what the colonizers do, and they try to perpetuate that and put that on everyone else to make them perpetuate their own traumas, then you are actually disrespecting the land itself. By not connecting and separating yourself from the landmass, instead of connecting and understanding the energy or understanding the energy of the land that you exist on. Like, why is Australia dry? Why does Australia look like a desert in a lot of places? And then there's also other places and other environments that don't. Why are these certain things? Why is Australia hot? All of these things point to a certain energy, a certain space that the atmosphere is in order for it to bend down. So, for example, dryness. I know from astrology, being dry is equated to the air element, right? So the air element, dry air, when you blow something on something, this is why it equates to the dry. When you blow air on something, it can dry. This is why you hang out your clothes to dry, right? So when we're talking about the dry energy itself, this is equating to the air element. And the air element is related to travel, communication, thoughts, intellect, Mercury, all of these types of things. And actually, that makes a lot of sense, because when we're talking about the indigenous culture here, they have a big history of traveling. They describe the First Nations people of Australia as a nomadic peoples. So this is all related to the air energy, right? Okay, so we're getting somewhere with this. We're learning something. Are you? I am. So the more you start to pay attention to these energies, you'll be like realizing, oh, this is why the atmosphere starts to create itself and manifest itself to look this way. This is why X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So it's important to pay attention to these things. The more you do, the more you start to become attuned to the space around you, and your makeup will start to change as well. This is the natural way to blend and to merge into another environment. This is the natural way to migrate and be a migrant and immigrate to another country. So I noticed that a lot of people don't know this, because a lot of people are disconnected from the landmass around them. A lot of people are disconnected from their own roots, their own origins, their own culture, and so on and so forth. So this starts to play out as them being disconnected in many other ways, because everything bends in from the mental to the physical. So one thing that I have noticed since learning more about the landmass that I'm on, the plants, the different species that are here, I've noticed my experience has started to become more wholesome. My experience has started to become more beautiful of Australia. All the way down to my body is actually starting to acclimate and adjust to the environment. I used to actually think Australia was unbearably hot. now I actually love the heat. Actually couldn't get enough of it. Even on those real hot days. Like those, if you're from Australia, you already know those 40-degree days that everyone dreads. I look forward to those. I'm not even joking. I am dead set with you guys. I look forward to those 40-degree days. I look forward to those scorching heat. It's so beautiful. It's such a exhilarating feeling for me. So all of these things is partly due to the fact, usually due to the fact that I've started to attune to the natural environment. I learning about the different plants around me, not just the European aspect of it. No, I'm talking about like learning all the aspects, learning like feeling the plants, like getting to know them on my own level, right? Not just on the European level, but getting to know them on my own level and getting to know all the little details, like the touch, the feel, the look of the plants. Why do the plants look like that? Why do the plants in New Zealand look all sad and depressed? And this is not to say New Zealand is a sad and depressed country. It's related to why Maori people have a big culture and a big tradition around death, mourning. All of these things tie into the atmosphere, the space that you're in, right? So when you start to pay attention to these little tiny things, these little energies that are permeating throughout every single aspect of the atmosphere, you actually start to piece the puzzle together on why there's certain practices that they try to utilize in different cultures. Even Australian Aboriginals are very similar. Oh, it looks like this plant is not a good plant for weaving, or I need to soak it for longer. Let's see if I can make it work. Oh no, that did not work, guys. That's alright. You live and you learn, you try and you try, honey. So sometimes you might try and you might freaking fail, love. But that's the point of trying again. And again. And again. And again. Da, da, da. So that is one thing that I've learned in these past couple of weeks for me. Just learning how to connect with the landmass that I'm on, as well as learning about my own landmass that I'm from, even more and more. And so, in a way, even though I'm disconnected from the physical landmass, in a way, I'm reconnecting to the landmass on a spiritual level, which may eventually lead me to reconnecting to my own physical landmass that I come from. So everything ties in when it comes to spiritually, mentally, and physically. Surely this one will work. The leaves. Trying the same knot, but just with less pieces of flax. I don't even know for sure if this is flax, but it looks like flax, so I'm calling it flax as of now, because I cannot figure out what white name it has, or even what Aboriginal, Indigenous First Nations name it has. So when it comes to what's it called? When it comes to the other things that I've learned, what's another thing that I've learned that I wanted to talk about in this video? Another thing that I've learned is that a lot more people are lost than I had initially anticipated. A lot of people. It's getting quite different, so. I was going to say something negative, but it's quite different, because coming from where I'm from, being so lost, being so confused at the start of my life, it became very weird and a bit of a rude awakening to realize how, first, how lost I was, and second, how lost everyone else is. So it's gotten to the point where um, yeah, a lot of things that I saw in one Pacific, I don't ever say that, but whatever, in one specific way made me wait, sorry guys, that's with my cat. Yeah, in one specific way. What was I saying? That so threw me off. A lot of things I learned in a specific way have kind of flipped it on its ass, and I've seen things from a whole new perspective. But, that's what life's about. Life's about growth and new perspectives and evolution and change. And if you don't think it's about that, then, honey, you ain't living. You ain't living. So, what's it called? When it comes to weaving, that's also a very telling thing for me. I know weaving is actually traditionally a women's practice in a lot of cultures, so forgive me if I'm disrespecting anyone. But I'm just trying this out because I love to weave. I love the idea of weaving. I love the idea of creating anything really. Any form of creativity is going to get my juices flowing for me. But weaving is something that I've felt drawn to for quite a while. So I even learned in New Zealand a little bit of weaving with harakeke, which is New Zealand flax. So a lot of my practices, especially my harvesting, is based off of a lot of New Zealand tradition. I don't know Māori, how to speak it, but I do know English. So I just do basically Māori practices with English words. So karakia, all that. I make up my own karakia. I make up my own sustainable harvesting practices. Well, no, actually, technically, I take ideas from other people's ideas as well. But yeah, generally, I kind of go with the flow and make up my own kind of practices based off of the natural practices that I already know to be true within Maori and other indigenous cultures that respect the land and take care of the land and connect with the land. Honey, my weaving is going not so great. So this is what I've done. My stitches are way too far apart and they're not tight enough. So it's not getting cute. It's not getting cute, guys. But what's it called? I'm just checking in the comments, guys. So yeah, when it comes to weaving itself, it's like a kind of symbolic as well for the time period that I'm going through, the phase that I'm going through in my life right now. Jumping more into that energy of weaving together my my origin, the space that I'm originating from, as well as the space that I'm in. So it's about weaving together those, blending and merging the two, creating something new from these two things that I've experienced. Because you have to make something out of what you're going through. You have to make something out of your experiences. Otherwise, you're just getting lost into the world. If you're not creating, then someone's creating for you in some way, shape, or form. So you want to be a creator on all levels that's possible for you to be able to be a creator on. Every single aspect that you can possibly create. And that way, you'll be more autonomous. Yeah, and that way you'll be more autonomous because you're actually creating more autonomously, you know, you know, you know. Yeah, and I stretched out my stitches so they look a little bit closer together, a little bit further apart and more even. Sorry, not closer together. They look a bit more clean, but that's still not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like kind of one after the other. But you know, that's cool. Like practice makes perfect at the end of the day. Um, and what's it called? The more I start to practice, the more I will get better. So, what else have I learned, guys? Let me think of something else before I end this video. What else have I learned? There was a few things I wanted to talk about. I think another thing that I've learned is really trusting my intuition. And you know, I know a lot of people will say that it's kind of a bit of an oversaturated topic to talk about sometimes, but really trusting it and really delving deep into why I think and feel certain ways around certain spaces, certain people, certain places, and so on and so forth. So really, really paying attention to those little aspects of life. Wow, that just fell apart. I think I need to soak this one overnight, but that's you know, that's another thing that I've learned. See? Another thing that I've learned, guys. I need to soak this one overnight. Because it needs like that a little bit more time to soften up and become pliable. See, with harakeke in New Zealand, you don't really need to like dry them out. So that's a real positive about harakeke. And then, what's it called? You also don't need to soak them. Well, I don't know actually. I can't speak for that. So I think you might need to soak them. Like, let's say, if you fully dried them out, you might need to soak them a little bit in water. But I'm not even sure if you can even weave with harakeke at that point. So when it comes to these little things that we go through, you know, you've got to really take things as they come, roll with the punches. Because a lot of people, I feel, because we're lost into this, or I say we, but I'm not so much lost into that anymore, but definitely was at one point. Because a lot of people are lost into the 3D and the matrix system that everyone is ruled by. A lot of people want that instant gratification and don't want to actually put the work in to get the skills that they need. Or they just want to make excuses about it, you know, can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. At the end of the day, that's another thing that I've learned, you know, is like you can say you want to do something all you want, you can yell it to the world, but it's like becomes after a while like that boy who cried wolf type energy. You know, how many times are you gonna cry wolf before you start to realize that you just ain't gonna do it? You just ain't it, you know? So that's what another thing that I've noticed is a lot of people like to portray an image for themselves or others or whatever and to cry wolf for something, but at the end of the day, actions always speak louder than words. And that's like something that hasn't really rung true to me until I've gotten to this age. 24 I am right now. Sounded like Yoda then. 24. So till I've got into this age, you know, and I've started to, what's it called? See if I can pull some of these off the chopping in the water. Till I've got into this age and I've started to realize, oh my gosh, accents really do speak louder than words, because people will say so much and they'll cast a real good illusion and make you think that they think and feel in this way and that way. But then every time they act, it makes you question it. And that's like one of the biggest lessons I've learned this year. It's like, bitch, the moment you question it, if you question someone's motives, question someone's actions, whatever it may be, honey, there's a reason. There's a reason and there's a season. And that bitch is playing treason. Okay, so don't let them play treason on you. Because at the end of the day, you need to trust your gut. You need to trust your sixth sense, you know. There's always a reason to why you think and feel certain ways around certain people. And you may have to go through so many experiences before you start to realize that. That's why a lot of people, they're like, well, why did I get used? Like, why didn't I see the sign? Is you did see the signs. You always saw the sign. You just ignored yourself. You know, you ignored your thoughts and feelings. You ignored the energy that this person was giving off and the vibes. So don't ever say that kind of stuff, like, why didn't I see the signs, or whatever the case may be, because you always saw them, baby. You're just gaslighting yourself. This here is a species of reed that I found while going down by the river. I have a feeling that I may need to wait a couple more weeks for this one to dry out before I actually soak it into water. But I'm gonna give it a go now, because experimenting is good. It's good. So these reeds I found by the river, I don't know what they're called, but they're reeds. They're really nice looking reeds, and I really wanted to weave from the actual reeds themselves. As you can see, let me get this out. As you can see, I started this little thing here. I was using a basket weaving technique because I initially wanted to make a basket out of this, and then I realized how non-pliable and how these reeds are not going to work for me because they're too breakable. If I just twist that a little bit more than I'm twisting it right now, it's going to snap. So that is something that I had to learn the hard way. Though I did see something on Google about it, so I should have just listened to what I've seen on Google. Someone else already had an experience with this, but I still wanted to try it anyway because I thought, you know what, like, what's the worst that could happen? I just want to try this. I want to see it. So now I'm just going to make this into something else. But as you can see, I've just had a little bit of experimentation with it, and that's what creativity is all about. So for me, another thing that I've learned is really like just experimenting with my creativity, trying the different aspects, trying many avenues, because a lot of people may feel like, oh, I can only be creative in this way. I can only try this thing, or beyond creativity, you know, I can only try this thing, or I can only do X amount of things, because otherwise I'll spread my energy thin. And in some cases that's true, you know, don't get me wrong. But take it from me, when you have enough energy that you've put into your creativity, it actually starts to become easier to branch out and try many avenues, many different forms of creativity, many different aspects of something. Because what then you're doing is you're carrying the energy from the first thing that you did. Let's say you did weaving first, right? You're carrying that energy from the first thing that you did, and now you're actually utilizing that same energy that you cultivated from said thing, and it starts to have more momentum, have more growth to it, have more fulfillment, because you've already put that energy work in, and then it starts to pour out in other areas. So, and like, just an example of this is like, a lot of the time I struggled with like certain things in the past, like guitar or whatever, specifically guitar. I struggled in the past to actually motivate myself to play guitar. But I noticed since I'd been doing producing beats, practicing how to produce beats online, and all these different things, specifically beats, and what else was it? A drawing as well I did at one point, and putting the energy work in, a lot of energy work too, not just a little bit. I did like hours of beats a day, hours of practicing how to make beats a day, and really I should have more show for it. But you know, sometimes you gotta be patient with yourself, and also stop overthinking it. But yeah, I did hours and hours of beats a day, and then I came back to guitar years after I'd struggled, years and years. And what do you know? I literally am shocked at my ability to play guitar now. And I haven't touched that shit in years. So the only thing I can point to is my energy work that I've put into my other creative avenues. And that's actually helped me to pour out into areas that I really struggled with in the past, to the point where now guitar actually comes so easy to me. I don't even see it like how I used to. I don't even look at it the same way. I look at it like just something fun to do, something fun to experiment with, something fun to try. And this is like far out. It's done me wonders in life. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that much. That's another thing that I've learned is, yeah, you can actually try as many different avenues as you want, as long as you put in enough energy work into that initial area. Like, let's say you want to do creativity. You have to put enough energy work into your creativity and build up that momentum. And especially the more you do, the more you have to be patient with yourself, because you're putting in so much work every single day. That cloud is like heavy, and it's going to take a while to come back to you, like as in a form of karma or whatever you want to call it. So when you do actually start to spread out and branch out into different areas of creativity, you actually realize that, oh my God, it's actually a lot easier due to the energy work that you put in prior. Now, what I want to do, let's check this. It's only been soaking for a very short amount of time, but let's see. Yeah, that still feels way too brutal, but it's a little bit more pliable than it was before. I wonder if I can split it. Oh, that split really well, actually. So, contrary to popular belief, you can actually try many different avenues and many different ways of doing something. And you don't have to necessarily spread yourself thin in order to do so. So it just takes enough energy work for you to actually get into that aspect of it. Otherwise, you know, you'll just end up trying and then be like, no, he was wrong. My style was wrong. But yeah. Actually, I think I might be able to weave with this. Let's try. So, I'm going to do a little bit of something controversial. I'm going to use two different materials on the same weave. No, that's probably not really that controversial. Probably a very basic thing that people already do. See if I can split it again. Oh, yes. Oh, that works. So, that's really actually that was the one thing that I'd forgotten to say at the start of the video about what I had learned, and I was like, oh, what was that thing that I had learned that I really wanted to say? It was about being able to try many different avenues, being able to um, progress in many different areas of the same field or even of different fields due to the amount of energy work that you actually put into what you're doing. AKA, energy work is just you doing the thing and doing things related to that thing, like going out and buying or going out and foraging the resources, like I did with these plants. That's a form of energy work, right? So I'm going to reap a lot of benefits from this than per se, let's say someone else who maybe tried weaving, but they didn't actually put in as much energy work. It's because I already put in energy work. And this is where a lot of people like get discouraged because they'll see other people, let's say, like these people have done creativity for a long time, and then they'll start to say, oh, that person's just naturally talented. I wouldn't say that that is always the case. Maybe in certain cases it can be, but you need to understand they put in way more energy work into their creativity than you ever have. You just started to try creativity yesterday, and you expect to be at the level that this person who's been doing creativity their whole life. You need to start to realize and be patient with yourself and know your place, know where you come from, know your roots, connect to your roots, like I say in the title. So connecting to your roots goes in many different layers. It's not just about connecting to the atmosphere that you're from, although